All right, look. The reality is, most of you out there watching this watch far more political content than I do. That's the reality. I don't watch anyone. No Jasmine, no Rachel, no Marty, no Clyde, no Frank, no nobody, not Wyatt, not a single one. Zero. None. Not even one. Not Moose either. I'm sure they're all great and wonderful and awesome and decent people, but I'm not part of that tribe. That tribe could go away tomorrow. Wouldn't affect me even a little bit. Friends of the show, by the way. Close friends of the show. They don't know that. I'm not at all entangled with them whatsoever. But I mean, I got no hate. Do your thing. Do your thing forever. So yeah, if you think you know who I watch because of what I say, that's fun. That's awfully fun because it means you can tell that I don't watch anyone, which is awesome because that's the point. Okay, so the good news is Canada is interfering in China's internal affairs, and China thinks that's a bad thing. The bad news is that no one cares what China thinks, and that's because China, all 1 billion of them, friends of the show, by the way, are mostly relevant to everything Canada wants to do because the only partner we need is the United States. Sorry, China. Look, if Xi wants to run for prime minister one day, I'm sure we have lots of Chinese citizens on WhatsApp and running crypto scams on Telegram who would love to vote for more communism here in Canada, but he's going to need to become a citizen of Canada for anyone to really care about what he thinks. So we love Taiwan. If you ever find yourself needing a new president, Taiwan, I hear Michael Ma is available, and I hear he has a wonderful relationship with Canada. Do you see how stupid that sounds? That's why I and most of Canada don't care about Canada's relationship with China. At all. At all. It's just not a match. It's not a match. We love Taiwan. China's like that marriage everybody watches you have. You can't see it. You can't see it's a problem, and she can't see it's a problem. But everyone else is just there for the cake, and they'll be there for your next cake, and your next cake, and your next cake. Because we keep trying to marry China, and it never works out. Mostly because China's electric cars explode and Taiwan's don't, and that's a major benefit. Let's just marry Taiwan. We love that. Listen, we're swiping left on China and we're swiping right on Taiwan. It's not a total rejection, China. I mean, we can still hook up whenever. Taiwan's not a jealous place and they're far too small to stop us anyways. Let's put it that way. But a partnership? No. No, no, there would have to be two Chinas to satisfy Canada's need for trade. Two Chinas, or it's just a one night stand forever. We love you, China, but there would have to be two of you. July 18th, 2026. This is the original comic reporter, and yes, unlike the 66% of Canadians who claim to be centrist, I am the only one who wouldn't actually deport the whole country on one side or cut everyone's private parts off in the name of science and human rights for the other. Look, self identification might be the biggest scam in Canadian history. No self identity identifiers, no one who self identifies as anything that should ever matter to anyone else. No one. No one cares if you think you're whatever you think you are. No one cares if you think you're a show dog or an underwater tap dancer or a stray cat. No one cares. Show me. Prove it. Prove that you are what you say you are, or prove that you're not actually a thing. But please don't try to tell me how you would like to be perceived. It's not my problem. I will treat you according to your actions because Canadian English no longer has any meaning, and what you say is in no way connected to what you do. That's the Canadian way now. Words are just things we use to cover up the actions we take. Words are just something we use as a placeholder before we have to do anything. Has anyone ever been able to be honest with themselves when they're has anyone ever been able to be honest enough with themselves that their own self-identification has ever been relevant? I mean, ever? Yeah, it's hard to get along with people who want to control your perception of them. I don't believe you're a bird, and if I did believe you were a bird, I would demand that you would prove it. There's lots of tall buildings in Toronto. Let's find out if you're a bird or not. People throw birds off buildings all the time. You know what happens? The bird just flies away. You just fall, you just fall to pretty grisly end at the end. So you know what? Unless you're a penguin or an ostrich or something flightless, it makes no sense. Why would anyone identify as a flightless bird? Why? Do you really want to be a penguin? Penguins are good for laughing at and feeding polar bears, and ostriches are good for being ugly and bad replacements for horses. So, I mean, maybe we should start experimenting with this. If you think you're a bird, leave me a comment with your consent to experiment with a fall from a not fall, not even a fall. We're going to experiment with you flying off the top of the highest spot that we can publicly access legally. I would like to see whether or not you flap your arms on the way down or not. If you do, I'll believe you're a bird. And if you don't, then I'll know that you are a liar. But here's the other big lie of the self-identification scam. Almost no one uses it. Almost no one. It's not a big problem. It's not even a small problem. It's not even a minute problem. It's nearly a non-existent problem, but it is a major political selling point because it digs right into human rights and good behavior and being a moral person, which is basically everything politics needs in order to farm votes from people who really just want to be good people and be left alone after they show they're good people. Just say the thing so you can be a good person and then we'll leave you alone. That's the rule. So these people, the regular people, just nod along and agree and validate and then hopefully move on with their lives. So yeah, self-identification is a scam. It always has been, it always will be. Look, the reason this comes up is because I saw a stat that says 7% of Canadians self-identify as far right. Of course they do. 7%. 7% of Canadians identify as far right. Right. On top of that, the same chart said 5% of Canadians identify as far left. Yeah. Yeah. 7%, 5% of Canadians identify as far left. Yeah. Are you laughing yet? Because I did. I laughed a lot. And on top of that, the same chart, but that's not even the worst one. That left-leaning argument, that left extreme left argument is not even the worst one. The worst one is that 66% of Canadian voters identify as centrist. Centrist. 66%. 66% of Canadians think they are playing politics right down the middle. All right, look. When you're on the left, you're going to see the far left and say, I'm not those guys. So I'm in the center. When you are on the right, you are going to see the far right and you're going to say, I'm not those guys, so I must be in the center. And the answer to that is no. No, you're not. You're on the left and you're on the right. You're not in the center. You self identify as a moderate. That's not the center. That's moderate. That's not extreme, but it's still left and it's still right. Self identification at work. That's what this is. Look, everyone is a bird until they're in a plane crash. Then they're not just a, then they're Look, everyone is a bird until they're in a plane crash. Then they're not just not a bird. They're a cannonball with no parachute, hoping their 30,000-foot drop into the water isn't as painful as it looks in the movies. Everyone is a fish until they're locked in the trunk of a car and rolled into a pond. Everyone can be anything they want until anything happens that the thing they identify as would have no problem surviving. And when you turn that self identification into policy, you're basically creating an ecosystem only those identities can benefit from. And since they're all fake, you're creating a hostile environment for everyone, including those who self identify. That's actually a lot of what this channel is about. The actual center, the actual 66% finding out they might actually be center. They're not extremists. They're not center. They're not sure what they are. People who picked a side because they thought they had to. And they don't have to. It's fine. You don't have to change your beliefs because someone called you a bad person on YouTube. I've never changed my beliefs because someone called me a bad person on YouTube, and I've never felt an ounce of guilt for it. Maybe it's just people who actually put stuff on the internet that go through this. Maybe it's just us. Maybe this doesn't affect commenters or normal people. Maybe people who watch content aren't the same people who post content. Do you think maybe that's a thing? Do you think it's possible that the loudest person in the comment section trying to bait people into emotional arguments over stupid things might actually just be showing that no one listens to them in real life, so they have to resort to attacking people on the internet for their daily dose of regular validation. Maybe it's possible. They're all friends of the show, by the way. Commenters who behave badly, all friends of the show. I think of them like I think of political commentators, friends of the show, self identified expert friends of the show. And from now on, I will only get my political education by watching YouTube comment sections. Clearly, that's where the real experts are. All of you should be prime minister, and it should start tomorrow. I can't understand a word they say, but I love their energy. I love the grit. I love how they are so certain of themselves. It's the confidence that only comes after binging Love Island for 20 hours straight while drinking 260s of Zambuca and paying your girlfriend $200 to talk to you for an hour. I love it. Comment sections tell you more about the extremes than going outside ever will. I think I've made myself clear. I think that's pretty clear. I could educate people, but why? Why? This is YouTube. You come here when you're one Xanax and a nap away from getting your stomach pumped. Can I get an amen? Can I fit the entire comment section into one ambulance? No? That's okay. More made for the front row because we're not getting to them anyways. Anyways, that's fine. It's fine. That's fine. See, this is why I love the internet. This is why I love the internet. The tribes, the anger, the rage, the self-identification, it's all very Canadian. All very Canadian. And if you even take a second, you can all see right through to the very soul of those silly little drug-induced popsicles just waiting to melt over their keyboards because their days aren't so fun anymore. Anyways, good luck out there.